Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. Today I am part of a Shabby Chic Christmas hosted by Jody at Southern Seasoning, Annie with Indiana Jones, Dawn at Shabby Meets Bling, and Erin with Provincial Farmhouse. So let's get started. In today's video I'm going to be making 4 different projects and I'm going to be using the same piece of decoupage paper. So let me just tell you the beauty of how to use this particular decoupage paper. I get my decoupage paper from Decoupage Central, and she has a section on her website called Printables. And what that means is you download the printable and then you print it out yourself. Now, what I love about that is, number one, I don't have to wait on the post office. And number two, I can print out more than one on each page. I can even reduce it. And then I can make as many copies as I need. So it's a wonderful bargain. So I encourage you to check it out. And I will make sure to share that link in the description box below. So all of my projects today are also very inexpensive and affordable. And the first project is a clear plastic ornament that I bought at Michael's after Christmas last year on sale for 75 cents. And a large round ornament, but it's more flat. So it's a little bit easier to put decoupage paper on and other things. So for this particular print, I reduced it a lot so that I could have it smaller, and I tore the edges around the rice paper. And now this is a round frame mold, and it's made by Redesign with Prima, and I'm not sure if I will be able to share a link or not. I've had it for a pretty good while, but I will look and see if I can find that link. So I'm using air dry clay, and I put my cornstarch in the mold and then push in that air dry clay and then go back over it with like a little credit card on the back. And then when I pulled it out, it actually broke off, which was totally fine because I was going to need to tear it anyway to be able to fit around the edge of that ornament and make space for the little ornament topper up at the top. So I was going to have to tear it off anyway. And I put all of my air dry clay molds down with Titebond Thick and Quick, which is the gray and the blue bottle. And I also go ahead and paint my molds after about 10 to 15 minutes because it really reduces cracking. Now, because I already have that decoupage paper down, and because I'm going to have to use a different color to paint that mold around the decoupage paper, I just use a really small brush and just take my time. Now on the back, I go back, and I've just had changed my mind with what I was going to do, so I decided I would paint it white. And this is a stamp from the IOD set called Bella. It's kind of an older stamp. And I love this medallion that is part of the stamp set. So I stamp it with IOD black ink, and I'm stamping it on a white paper napkin. And this is a little tool that I get off of Amazon, and it's wonderful to have with the larger stamps. So I stamp it on the napkin, which is 3-ply, and I go ahead and cut it down to almost where that design is, and then I go back and tear around the edges. And because the background is white, and I use this white napkin, when I put this on with Mod Podge, it just kind of fades into the background, and you can't notice that it is really a napkin up underneath. So it's a really good practice to use. And it's really inexpensive because we can all find white napkins. Now, I will just tell you, when I was putting down some of my ink, I got a little bit of the white paint on the front of that decoupage paper. So I decided I would mask it by putting white wax over it, and then that kind of covered it up, and it made it look a little bit more vintage. So I'm going to make a little bow to put on the front of it. And this is a little mini bow dabber that I get off of Amazon, and I use eyelash yarn in the beginning. So with this little bow dabber, you take the ribbon and you make it go vertical, and then you start placing whatever ribbon you want to use. And then when you're happy with how much of that little bow that you want to have, you pull up that vertical ribbon and tie it off, and then you have a really pretty little bow, and it's super easy to make. And I put it down with hot glue, and then I'm going to go back over it with a little button that I bought at, I believe, Hobby Lobby. But before I show you, I'm going to show you my second project. So this is a bottle that I thrifted for 99 cents, and it was a blue stained bottle. So I spray painted it white, and then once I got a couple coats on it to hide the color of the bottle, then I went back with the Rust-Oleum blush pink. Now it has that particular design on it, but right on the front of it, it's got sort of a diamond shape. And I'm going to use that decoupage paper in that diamond shape. But I kind of had to figure out what to do to get it to work. So I just laid a piece of white copy paper down and just kind of finagled it until I could figure out how I needed to cut that decoupage paper. And on this one, I did not tear it because I needed it to be very specific to that size. And I kept that part of the bottle white because I was putting the decoupage paper on top. Now, this is a really old redesign with Prima Mold, and I've used it a lot. And I'm going to be using these two little pieces that match. I'm going to be putting 2 on each of the 4 sides of the diamond. And then I will go back and I will paint those with that same Rust-Oleum pink chalk paint. And, you know, when I first started my channel, I was hesitant to do bottles, but then I realized how much fun they are. And what I really like about them is that in a vignette, they tend to be the taller aspect of the vignette. So it's just a really pretty way to add something to one of your vignettes. So once all that is settled, I'm using some white ribbon that goes right around that rim, and I put it down with hot glue at the end. And then remember, I showed you how to make that little eyelash yarn bow a while ago. So I'm going to be putting another one of those on the front of that. Now I need to make a bottle topper. And I'm using the little icicle that comes off of the Christmas tapers from the latest IOD release. So the way that I isolate that particular part of it is I put hot glue, make a little hot glue bridge on it so that when I pour that resin, which is like a 1-to-1 ratio, then that keeps that resin from pouring on down into the rest of that taper. So what I like to do is I like to make it double-sided. So I pour one of the molds and I'll let it set up. And then this is just some silver floral wire that I just twisted a little bit. So once that is all set up, then I pour again. But as I'm pouring, I stick that wire in between those 2 different molds that are symmetrical. So what that means is you've got a double-sided ornament with the wire that comes out at the bottom. And then I drilled a little hole in the cork that also came with this bottle, and I glued that in. Even though the wire went through, I still put glue on it to make it stay. And then I painted it with the Rust-Oleum blush pink on both sides. And now that same mold that I used a while ago, I'm going to dress up the top of the bottle, and I only mold up 2 of these, and I just put that right up at the top just so that it ties all in together. And I go back that at the end and paint that with Rust-Oleum blush pink as well. And then I use this clear glitter on top of it. And when you use glitter, you don't have to put it down with glue. When you put your paint down, then you can go ahead and sprinkle on the glitter, and it sticks to that wet paint, so that keeps you from having one more step. So what do you think so far? I've used the same one printable that I have made in different sizes for different projects. So if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and become part of my family. Now, my next project is one of those little signs that you can buy at Dollar Tree, but I found this at Hobby Lobby for 79 cents, and I'm going to make it look like a little shadow box. So I paint that once again with the Rust-Oleum Blush Pink, all on the inside and on the inside, the sides of the inside and up at the top and on the sides on the outside of it. And I'm taking just a little wood piece that you can get at Hobby Lobby or you can get it at Dollar Tree, and I paint that white because that's what I'm going to be adding that same decoupage paper to, or the rice paper that I have printed off myself on top of this wood. And because this was a lighter wood, I only put one coat of white paint on it. And I'm going to be putting this down with Mod Podge. And what I like to do is put a little starter strip on it, and then I'm going to lay the paper on top, and then peel that paper back up just a little bit and put down a little bit more Mod Podge until I work my way down to the end. And then I'm going to go back after that dries with a little finger sander and sand around the edges of it. So if you get one of the printables from Decoupage Central, what you do is you download it, and then you go to File and Print, and then you can make more than one on each page. And down at the bottom, you can either scale it at 100%, or you can lower that scale or make that scale larger, depending on what size you want it to be. And so these printables are really so worth your money for only $1.99, and then you can make as many as you need to. So on the back side, I didn't want to try to peel that paper up, so I just put some scrapbook paper that came in a pack that I'd had for a really long time, and that whole pack of paper was only $2. So when I kind of figured up how much of that paper I needed, I only spent 8 cents on that scrapbook paper to put it on the back of the sign. Now I put some of those little blocks that you can get from the Dollar Tree on the back of that wood sign. I'll let that set up with glue, and then I glued that on the inside of the little shadow box to kind of raise it up a little bit and add some more dimension to it. And I want to fancy up the outside of the sign, so I just take a little piece from the Alphabellies Stamp set, which is an older IOD stamp set, and I just go around 3 sides of it. Now, on this little candlestick, I actually bought this at Dollar Tree pretty good while ago, back when Dollar Tree was only $1. And so I painted it with the Rust-Oleum Blush Pink, and I put some clay in it, just to kind of make that straight going across the top. And then I glued that on. Now I want to make a little topper up at the top on top of that little shadow box. So once again, I'm making a double-sided mold, and it's the little crown that comes from the IOD mold Laurel. And I paint that with the Rust-Oleum Blush Pink, and then I use a little bit of Tite Bond Thick and Quick on either side of that. And then I put a little bit of hot glue in the middle just for that instant hold, and I glue it up to the top. And then I put a little bow on it. But before I show you that, I want to show you something really neat that I'm making my granddaughters, once again with that same printable. So I took a free Altoid box that somebody gave me, and I painted it white, and I do go back and paint the top of it pink. And this is some paper that I just got from John L., and it's called Symphony Background. And so I cut out 2 little sheets of that, one for the top of the box and one for the bottom of the box. And then once I got it all figured about the size, then I put it in with Mod Podge. So I'm going to be making something for my granddaughters. They are really into little miniatures. So I can't wait to show you what I'm making with it. So these are just some little miniatures that I had. And this one I think is some sort of string instrument. I don't know if it's a violin or what it is. So we'll just say it's a string instrument. And I used 2 pieces of florals that came from the transfer set called Fairy Tale Florals this summer. And I put those in up at the top. I wanted to put 2 instruments up at the top, but I just couldn't make one of the instruments fit. And it was kind of funny because I did not put any sealer on this paper. So I was just really hoping that it was going to stick really good. And it did. I was kind of surprised, and I was really lucky because most of the time when you put down a transfer, you need to seal it first. And then because I want to make it really shabby chic, down at the bottom, around the inside, I take some of that white eyelash yarn and just take just little pieces of it, and I wind it around the inside of the box. Now look up in that top left corner. What I did was I took another piece or another digital print off of that printable, and I reduced it, and then I glued that to a piece of heavy cardstock, and then I fussy cutted them out, and then I glued that little each little girl to just a little block of wood. And that wood actually came from my son's garage. I was over at his house recently, and I saw some scrap wood in his garage. So I sort of took it, and he doesn't know that I took it. So, but if it was sitting there and it had been there a while, so I don't think he's going to miss it. So that was free. Now on the top of the box, oh, and this is where I glued it to the cardstock. And I actually glued several different little printables from that because I really wasn't sure how many I was going to do. And I put it down with Mod Podge. And then that was when I went back and I fussy cutted those little girls from it. And when I glued it to that piece of wood, I used Tight Bond Thick and Quick, and I went back and I painted the back of that paper pink just so that it would tie in a little bit more, and I painted that little block of wood pink as well. Now, this is just a little element that I got off of Canva, and it's just a little picture of Mozart. So I'm going to put that onto the top, and this is just a little frame mold that I've had for a good while, and I painted it black and put Dixie Belle gold gilding wax on it, and I glued that on top of it. And this is one of those molds that you can get at Hobby Lobby or you can get off of Amazon, and I used caulking to make these molds. And so you put that in, and it takes about a day or two to set up and dry, but it's real flexible. And I needed those musical notes. So once it was all ready, I painted those black, and I went back over with the gold gilding wax. So that way it adds that extra add of music to it with the picture of Mozart and the little musical notes. And I'll show you in just a minute the little girls that will fit right inside of that box. And then I have some other little instruments that came in that set. And so my granddaughters are going to love this because they love miniatures. And then I put just a little pink ribbon bow on the front. So this might not be for you, but if you have grandchildren or little girls that are really into miniatures now, this is just something fun to make for them. And by making 4 of them, they will just fit right inside that box, and I will be able to close the box. And it's just something that they can play with. So when I give it to them, I'm sure that they will play with it for a pretty good while and play with all these little instruments that go along with it because they both love to sing. So friends, in the comments today, let me know what was your favorite. And also, the playlist for this collaboration will be down in the description box below. And I encourage you to go to all of these ladies' channels. I know they're going to have something amazing for you to see as we prepare for Christmas. And it's all going to be shabby chic. And I, as well, look forward to seeing how they interpreted shabby chic. So I want to thank Dawn and Jody at Southern Seasonings and Annie with Indiana Jones and Erin for all being part of this collaboration. And once again, I will have my Monday regular video up in just a couple days. And also make sure to follow me on Facebook as well. So once again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and become part of our family. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I'll see you again Monday night at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.